Hi, it's Roni, and welcome to my channel and to a Punched Out Thursday to die for. This is a picture that I'm going to be scrapping today, and it's of my grandson Jason. He's about 2 in this one, and it was fall, and there is corn husk and corn and all kinds of stuff around him. My plan is to make a scarecrow. And the scarecrow that I used for my inspiration was one in the pattern paper, and I do think it might have been on a 3x4 cut apart, but here it is. And he's a super cute little guy, but he is pretty small, so cutting him out, fussy cutting him, putting him on here wouldn't have worked. I think there might have been one in a 3x4 card somewhere, but I decided to make one. I used my balloon die for the head, mainly because I'm going to put a string around there to tie it with, like it is in the inspiration little guy. And the hat, I used my large oval, plus I used a ticket punch. And it's kind of on the narrow side, but I'm going to put a flower over to the right and thought I'd camouflage a little bit of the fact that it is a little bit on the narrow side. And you seen I had a strip for a headband. I almost forgot it. I had to lift the back of the brim of the hat off to go ahead and put it on. I cut a slot and then a curved place on the hat so I can just slide the head in. And I did ink the head in, let's see, what was it? Wild Honey. If you noticed, I know it was pretty quick, but if you noticed on the scarecrow, it had straw sticking out. And I was trying to think of what I could use for straw. Generally, I just hand cut it, but I thought of this flower, and it is an old Sizzix one that Ella Connor had gave me, and I totally love. It makes beautiful layouts as a flower, but it's going to work as straw today. I'm cutting that, oh, the flower, I think I'm putting 4 or 5 petals as one bunch of straw on there, and I'm putting them on each side, and I almost forgot to put those on. This was not planned. Every bit of planning that was on this was just in my head. I didn't make a sample one, so you will see a few redos, makeovers, and me figuring it out as I go. And I did ink the straw. I am not sure which one I picked up. I have the Wild Honey and the Rusty Hinge laying there together. And a few times I realized after I inked that I had the opposite one of what I planned on getting. So I finally gave up before the end of the video. I think I mostly used the Rusty Hinge. Um, I'm just using the smaller flower there. I did cut a couple of the bigger ones, and I will use them later, but to start out with, I'm just using the smaller flower. I cut 2 eyes at one and one 1/4 inch, and then I cut those little dots, the tinier ones, they're 1/8 inch dots. And the bigger one is going to be his eyes, and yeah, it's only 1/4 inch, but they look kind of big on that balloon head right there. The nose, I just freehanded it. I cut a square and, well, no, I think I just cut straight into it. I don't know. I cut a little triangle. I figured if it looked like it was okay when I held it up against it, it was going to work. So the first one I cut worked. And the mouth, it's getting those 1/8 inch, and they worked out pretty good. They were about the right size for his head. The string I'm using on the bottom of the balloon is crochet thread. It's a little heavier than regular thread, but not as heavy as twine, and all it's going to do is tie the head together. I bet y'all were wondering when I first laid that cross down there what I was going to make. Um, I'm just going to make it straight on there. I thought, well, surely that'll work because, it's pretty plain and simple, the cross is, and me just go along the lines of that. So I used the same color same pattern that they used on the little tiny inspiration piece. And I made sure the top part wasn't cut real straight, that it was, a little bit on the wavy side. But I think I do end up cutting it a tiny bit more before I'm done. The arms were a little bit long compared to the scrap I had of the red, so I'm going to make it work. Instead of cutting into like a 12 by 12, because this was from a scrap from the 6 by 6. Instead of getting the 12 by 12 out and using it, I'm just going to work with what I have. So his arms are going to look a little bit shorter than I may have put them otherwise. The straw I did the same way I did with the hair, only I had it coming out from the hands. And I'm just kind of freehanding it and going down. I put his waist smaller because I knew that I was going to be putting overalls on there. And I wanted to make sure it didn't stick out and I wasn't going to have to cut it again later. I Oh, let's see. Oh, I had to stop and ink it. I got to thinking, I really need to ink this. I've been inking everything else that I put on here, so I need to ink this. Even inked the hat, even though I knew the rusty hinge wasn't going to show up, but it was so the white core wouldn't show so much because it was showing since it was darker. And it is a pattern paper. I think it was a wood grain. The same wood grain that I used for the frame on the Scarecrow. And this isn't exactly denim that I'm going to use. It's got little tiny flowers on it, but it's in the 6 by 6 paper pad. And I thought it'd work for my overhauls. And I'm just kind of guessing again as I go. Because of my guessing, one leg's going to end up longer than the other. The one that's angled out a little bit, well, it's not exactly a leg yet, but it will be. And I will notice it sooner or later. But yeah, well, it's later. It's not sooner. Take my word for it. I will even make the cuff to go on there before I ever notice it. I think it's when I finally go to put it on the Scarecrow that I notice it. And I'm cutting this part and it just didn't seem quite high enough. I probably should have cut the legs off then, but I didn't. And so his legs are kind of on the long side for the top of his body because, yeah, I was using the scrap that fit on the top part. I did have more of the blue. I I this is where I make the cuffs for the bottom of his leg, and you'll be looking at that saying, "Oh, she needs to notice that." Yeah, I do. So it's a good thing that I noticed it. I did use the rusty hinge on all the clothes, well, everything. I don't think there's anything on there I neglected to use it on, except maybe the eyes and mouth and stuff. But yeah, I put cuffs on the bottom. And look, that leg shows up really good laying there. You would have thought I'd noticed it. Um, I'm decided to make a collar on his uh, little shirt there, and the bib is going to cover part of it up. Well, as soon as I lay it down and just notice it, as soon as I notice it, I will pull the collar up, make sure it's over, over the top of the bib part, the straps, not the actually bib. I think the whole thing's a bib. But I use my little teeny tiny bow. I believe it came in a Karen Bernstein card making kit, and it has not been in that card making kit in forever because I keep finding uses for it, so I keep it in a little drawer beside me. And here's where I see that the little collar is under, and I go to pull it up, and of course it's stuck down with liquid glue. And I tear the left side just a little bit and see how it was white. I thought, oh, that makes it even better. It looks more worn. And I thought, I need some stitches. And my plan was to put some on the straps, but I apparently forgot because it does not have none on there now. And but it will have lots of stitching on the layout. I will make up for it. I decided to put a pocket there, and I just freehanded it too. And I put stitches all around it, and then I'm putting more stitches on the overalls, and I'm using my smash pin for it. I really like it because it goes on pretty good and it don't smear. That's the big thing. If I use some of the others, they do smear if I'm not paying attention. And I think I already cut his leg off. While I was rambling, I cut his leg off. Here's the next size up flower. There is a bigger one than it, but yeah, it makes really cute straw. So Ella, thank you. I am finding all kinds of uses for that. Um, I used a yellow for the straw, but I used for the head. It's kind of like a yellow. I had it in my yellows, but it's kind of like a tan too. I'm not sure which. I was going to use um, oh, craft paper because I thought, that might work. And then I seen this scrap when I was getting the flower paper out for the straw, and I decided to use it instead. I'm using 2 pieces of paper for my border, and I'm using a Fisker's punch to cut out the bottom part, and it's a scallop one with holes in it, and it's just going to go across the bottom. And I think that's probably the only thing besides the background paper that gets stitching on it. The plaid one there will. Well, I think that's the gingham side. So the gingham side will. Of course, also, as soon as I put it down, I think, oh, I need to put the Scarecrow there and put part of his stick behind him because I didn't like the way it was, kind of hanging, and I thought I'd hide part of it. Since Jason's looking up, I put him on the left-hand side of the Scarecrow. Well, my left-hand side, his right. But I put him on that side so it looked kind of like he was looking up at the Scarecrow. I fussy cut out of a 3x4 card this jar, and it is just so cute. It says Happy Fall, and it has flowers, and I thought, well, that will look really good on there. I think it's the very first thing I did for the layout, actually, but I thought it is going to go on that layout. No matter what else I do to it, it's going to go on there because it's so cute. I also fussy cut this banner out, and it's autumn leaves and pumpkins, please. And it's going to go up in the upper left-hand corner with some banners, and I'm just going to kind of go through my scraps there and decide what I can use to make my banners with. And I did cut part of that out because this video is kind of on the long side. My little Scarecrow took a while. Anytime you make anything extra to go on your layout, it seems like the layout gets very long. Sorry about that. And y'all may have noticed I had another video go up today, and it was for Rebecca Moore's 1500 subby celebration hop. And in both of the videos, I did use dies and punches, so I could have combined them. However, I didn't pay attention to the day of the week that her video was on. And tomorrow, tomorrow you're going to get 3. Yeah, 2 hops and Mixed Media Frenzy, which is my last one I'm going to be taking a break on the Mixed Media Frenzy. And the 2 videos for the hop, they're going to be posted at the exact same time. Uh, you all are going to be overwhelmed looking at your feed because there will be lots and lots of videos coming through. So Mixed Media Frenzy will be later in the day or earlier one. I can't remember. One or the other I have it down for. And let's get back to my layout. I cut out some pumpkins, and those are the ones I got with a peachy cheap die set once for Halloween. And it works great for Thanksgiving because it don't have a face on there. But you could, of course, make one pretty easy to go on top of it. I'm putting on fall blessings down there in the bottom left because that little Jason is a blessing. He is just the sweetest little thing. He does not have as much hair anymore. His mommy didn't want to cut it. It was so pretty and thick. Oh my goodness. He had a lot of hair when he was smaller. He still has, but shorter now. My title is A Little Dirt Couldn't Hurt, Never Hurt. A Little Dirt Never Hurt. Because he is a little on the dirty side. He got in the barn and he was just playing. They always have a Halloween hayride and bonfire and everything, and they do the pumpkins and all that stuff. And of course, there's kids everywhere. And they caught him in the corn having a good old time. And yeah, his mommy took the picture and it does have a filter on it, but it had the filter on there when I got it. However, I think it makes it look like he is in a dark spot being highlighted because he's busted. I'm changing a few things on my Scarecrow. Well, adding and changing. I put the two patches for the knees, and then they have one in the inspiration piece right above the one knee. I decided to instead use some hearts, so I had the bigger one up there by the pocket and two tiny ones down on the cuffs of his blue jeans. And I put a cross stitch on each one to kind of hold them on there, but I just used the Sharpie. I started to say Sharpie. It's not a Sharpie, it's a smash pen. But, oh, and I also failed to point out that I used two real buttons. They're kind of tiny. So I put thread behind, well, through them and made a knot. And I had the strings hanging on the front side just because I wanted to add that texture to my layout. I'm using the kind of oh, faded out looking orange enamel dots on here. And I only used the one color because I thought, oh, that'll look great. Just to add another shade of orange to the layout, because I do have several already. There are several shades of orange in the collection. I got to thinking that I wanted to add some of my leaves. Well, I seen them in the baggie. And they're left over from another layout that I had made. Well, there was a bunch left over to start with, but I used most of them. But I had this few left, and I'm going to use all of them on this layout. And they're ones that started out white, and I stamped, and well, not stamped, I stenciled and inked them and put glossy accents on them like dewdrops. And I'm going to just kind of put them here and there on the layout so that I can add just a little more to the clusters and add a little more texture. I also added American Crafts. My mind went blank for a second. There are American Crafts wood buttons on there, and one of them had a little bird, and I put it up on his shoulder. As soon as I seen that, I thought, oh, I got to put that on his shoulder, even though he's a scarecrow and that bird is not a scarecrow. But that's it. That's my layout, and there's my scarecrow. And don't his legs look long from this direction? I thought, oh, I got to take one where his legs look even longer. So I will have one more where it's straight on and you can see him. He does have pink cheeks because I put that on there when I went back to take the photos. And there's my cluster over there on the left and little Jason in the corn pile, I guess it is. And my cluster up there at the top left hand of the corner. And that button has a leaf, and then the bottom one just says fall. And I'm not sure if I show no, I don't show a close up of the fall, but that one in the bottom right there is the word fall. And my scarecrow looks more proportioned now than he did a while ago. But I couldn't resist a while ago. I thought, oh man, I can make those legs look really long. But if you leave a comment down there below, I'll get back with you. And if you like the video and hit a thumbs up, I'd appreciate it. And if you are not subscribed to my channel, I would love to have you subscribe. And those of you already are, thank you so much. But have a happy, scrappy week. Take care and stay safe. And make sure you check out the links down there below and see what the other gals created for their Punched Out Thursday to Die for. Bye.